Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Raiders of the Lost Flicks Live. I'm your host, Groovinator, also known as Adam Wilcox. I'm the owner and operator of raidersofthelostflicks.com. I'm also the host of Bad Movie Watch and Review. You didn't know it's called Bad Movie Watch and Review, did you? Because I just announced it just now. We're changing the name this weekend. We're going to start calling it Bad Movie Watch Review so that people know what the hell we do on this channel. But I'm here with my host, who has a lot more degrees than I do, the professor himself, Flair X. Thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
He's been working hard today, clearing out snow. I'm in Illinois. I'm in Joliet, Illinois. I guess there was snow this morning, but I slept through it. So
yeah,
I missed it. Yeah.
We in Idaho got 7 inches.
Oh.
No, it's been interesting.
I'm not ready for none of that, man. I don't mess with that. I'm not about that life. I normally live in Florida. If you're just turning into my channel for the very first time, but I'm visiting with my sister. I'm at my sister's house in Joliet, Illinois. I spent a good chunk of my life here, so I know the area quite well. I did leave here for a reason, so I wasn't super excited to come back. But hey, you gotta visit your family once in a while. But
and as you left the north for sunnier, warmer pastures, I left the sunny south for colder and wetter climes because I personally could not stand the state of California anymore. So I packed my tent and headed north.
We're going to be talking about California a little bit here, but the reason you probably joined us tonight, if you're new to this show, this is something that Flair and I kind of came up with because after the Bad Movie Watch Reviews, we kind of get together and talk after the movies, and we start talking about a little bit of pop culture and some politics. And I'm like, man, this is some really good stuff we're talking about here. Maybe we should make this into a show. So we did. If you don't know, we have different political views. You know, we're still friends at the end of the day because we come from an era where we agree to disagree on stuff. You know, and you know, we kind of know where to draw the line. You know what I mean?
I would rather have a friendship than discuss politics any day of the week.
Well, yeah, and we're not the type of people that base our friendships on, well, you know, all your political views have to line up with mine. But where politics line up with pop culture is kind of where this show lies. So
Yep.
We've been having a lot of fun doing this. And, of course, our main topic tonight, I wanted to talk about this because I know –
Leo.
Hey, Leo Red is in the house. Everybody say hi to Leo Red. And then we got Richard Greeter. Thank you for joining back. You guys are just in time. So,
welcome, guys. How you doing tonight?
We just got started. This news kind of came down a couple of days ago. And I'll be honest with you, Flair, I actually wanted to go live with this on Sunday. But I didn't want to, like, go and do this without you. And I know you're busy on Sundays. So
Shot me a message, man.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind in the future because as soon as this dropped down, I was just like, I got stuff to say. I want to get this out in the open. But let me get this.
Just with the new job, you're going to have to let me figure this one out. And
yeah, congratulations on your new job, by the way. I know things have been very difficult for all of us this year.
Thank you.
Money-wise, and
I am.
Take it. You know what I mean? Take it where you can. You know, I mean, seriously, dude.
Well, it ain't IT and it ain't what I was making, but man.
No, yeah, I know. I majored in journalism. I have yet to find a journalism job that ever paid me anything to pay my bills, but here we are. Netflix subscription cancellations skyrocket after Cuties backlash. Now, I don't think that we've ever discussed this on this channel. I've been toying with the idea of doing a video on it, and then I kind of pulled back. I thought, well, you know what? Let's live stream this shit because I want to get other people's inputs. I want people to watch. I want people to sound off in the chat. We got 2 guys up in there already. You guys have questions. You guys got comments. We will address them. So, but I've been talking about this for a long time because I've been really charged. And why would we talk about a streaming service on a channel that specializes in movies? Well, because of the fact that eventually movies are probably going to be streamed. I mean, we're looking at theater is on the decline, you know, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I first heard about this from actually some of my members, some of my subscribers to my channel had sent me this in the side, and they said, hey, I'm canceling my Netflix subscription over this. And they were really cool about it. They weren't saying, hey, Groovinator, I think you should cancel your Netflix subscription over this. They were just like, I'm canceling my Netflix subscription over this. I just wanted you to know about it. That's how cool my subscribers are. But I have subscribers and I have family members that have been victims of abuse, child abuse. And it's a very, very sensitive subject. So I'm a little more emotionally charged than I would be on different topics like this. I don't normally get terribly political, but in this particular situation, this movie Cuties that was first advertised back in September, I believe. It's not showing the picture right now, but you guys see it on the thumbnail when you got here. It's basically involves these kids that get into a dance competition of some sorts. It's advertised as a coming of age, but when they first announced this on Netflix, they had an ad where these kids were in very suggestive positions. These kids are twerking. It's really gross. And first I thought, okay, well, what if Netflix just made a bad poster and I'm making too much out of this? And I know Flair and I, we like to research things before we start making a stance. You know, probably Flair more than me. He's the research guru because he actually likes doing the research. Me, I try to get to the bottom of it. Like, am I just, because I don't like knee-jerk reactions, because you know as well as I do, YouTubers that do knee-jerk reaction videos, that has a very short lifespan, and you have to make another video later saying, hey, maybe I went too far, maybe this was wrong. But the more I looked into this movie, the more it disgusted me to the point to where I didn't want to watch the movie. I watched the trailer like you guys did. I was disgusted by it. As far as I'm concerned, the pictures that were on Netflix were probably the least offensive part of this whole situation. But Netflix is standing by this French-made movie. The director is standing behind it. And according to this article here on the New York Post, cancellations skyrocketed by 800% after the French coming-of-age film triggered by a boycott in early September. Analysis show within 2 days of the movie's premiere, hashtag cancel Netflix became the top trending topic on Twitter, and a petition on change.org garnered hundreds of thousands of signatures. So apparently I'm not the only one that feels this way. Now, I don't usually actively pursue boycotts on this channel, but this is one case. Maybe there'll be more, I don't know, but this is one case where I am actively a part of this boycott. I actively encourage people to cancel Netflix over this. Netflix needs to be held accountable. Now, it has been shown that get off of my page, you're interrupting me. But Texas has filed an indictment against Netflix for showing what they believe is child. I don't want to say pornography because I don't know if this is exact. I mean, it's very.
I will call a spade, and this is child porn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Forgive me for being very staunch on this, but this is not something polite society would have shown even a decade ago.
There we go. There's a picture I was looking for.
It grosses me out in ways that I cannot describe to you.
Yeah.
And I do not have anybody in my family that has been sexually abused, but I've met a man who was put down for life as a sexually violent predator in the state hospital system in California. And this is right up his alley. And I have not spoken to him about this particular movie, and I will not, because I don't want to hear it. I'm disgusted as it is. And if somebody has, you know, how Crowder has that change my mind, well, somebody's going to have to come along and change my mind and do a whole lot of changing, because I'm sorry, I see it as child porn. They had a casting call of 650 young girls for this movie. How is that not considered grooming? And I want to say a few things that ain't polite, and I'm an angry man at this because it really is gross. Kids should be kids until they are not kids anymore, and that we are taking that away from them in both politics and society, and in every way, shape, and form. And I know I didn't have the world's greatest childhood, but by God, I at least had one. And these little girls are not going to be given that. And it shocks me. It scares me. It makes me have deep reservations about where our society is going.
Yeah.
And I do not want to support it in any way, shape, or form. And you know, former President Barack Obama, his wife, many of his political I don't want to say cronies, but they are his cronies, are on the board of Netflix, and not one of them has spoken out about this. Not one has decried the utter gall to put this on our screens and say it's a coming of age movie. Bull fucking shit. And I'm going to stop there because I'm starting to curse, and that'll get me.
No, that's all right. There's going to be some rants because that's why I wanted to do this. I was taking a chance. This is not normally the kind of content that I do on this channel, but this is one, like I said, I was debating. I've been tossing around doing a video on this for literally a month. I wanted to do it back in September, but then I thought, nah, I'm going to get this wrong. I'm going to say something wrong. And, something like this, you have to have
This
your
is a hill I'll die on.
You have to have your facts straight too, though, because you don't want to look like you're doing knee-jerk reactions. This is, you know what? This is something that should not be a discussion. There's no discussion about whether this is right or wrong. It shouldn't even be a discussion. I have read headlines that say, "Oh, well, this is something that people can't control. This is no different from the LGBTQ community." Bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. This is a disease. It's not a choice. It's not a kid saying, "Oh, I'm going to make a choice." These kids, you don't rob somebody of their childhood. I think the most horrible, awful fucking thing you could do would be to rob somebody of their childhood. And the fact that Netflix is behind this tells me where they stand on this topic, and I won't support it. I canceled my Netflix subscription. I actively canceled it. I will actively encourage others people to cancel their Netflix subscription. There's no way this should be a study or discussion. If you're seriously having a discussion about this, or you think, well, wait a minute, maybe no, absolutely fucking not. I will fight this to the death. This is bullshit. All right, the fact that this show, and the thing is look, they're losing their bottom line over this. I mean, is it worth it? 800% cancellations in your subscriptions. So it's not just me, it's not just Flair, it's other people too. If you're upset by this, the other thing too, in this hypersensitive culture, why this? Why is this okay?
I
You know what I mean? All the things that have been censored on Disney Plus and Netflix says this is okay? Really?
Leo, I would not be shocked if they didn't. And that is what scares me and sickens me, because these young minds need to be protected. These young bodies need to be protected, and they need to be given an opportunity to blossom as they will, however they will. I put no conditions on how they need to be, whatever they turn out to be. They just need to have the protections that is given to any healthy society. When we start losing we see this with Rome. We saw this with the Byzantine Empire. All these empires that as they lost the respect for their own people and then their own children, they were destroyed. We see it throughout history. I can name many cultures, many societies that went that route, and we are doing the same thing. I don't want to, I'm not going to argue abortion because I know, that's a hot button topic. But I want to limit it to just the protections of little kids to be little kids, and not have to think about, innies or outies, and what at 8 and 9 years old. I mean, that man that I met, that sexual predator, thought that 8 and 9 year olds knew about sex and knew what he wanted, and so they were, giving it to him. And that to me is the most disgusting thing I could ever contemplate. And he said it with a straight face. And I wanted to beat him to death.
Leo Red said, Groovinator, when there's an agenda to be made, the bottom line doesn't matter. And that's exactly why we're talking about tonight. I know fully well that there's a lot of conspiracy theories, okay? And I'm not really one to be into them, okay? But I do believe that there is some kind of a conspiracy to normalize this bullshit. I do believe that there is a larger group at work here that support this kind of behavior, all right? And I don't, okay? And I will fight anybody that challenges me on this one. This is bullshit, all right? This is absolute bullshit. I don't want to see this be the start to normalize this kind of behavior. This is not something that belongs in any society, in my opinion. Does not belong in this society. This hypersensitive fucking society. But yeah, it's okay to have underage girls twerking in a fucking movie on Netflix. I don't care. It needs to come down. I will not patron Netflix until this comes down.
You go watch even the clips that Tucker Carlson released, and he censored them. He censored them because he was disgusted by what was, and I don't get this left versus right argument.
There shouldn't be an argument on this. This is one of those cases where the left and the right should agree on this one.
Well, this should be every human that has a heart.
Exactly. It's soul, like anything, a modicum of morals, just a modicum of morals.
Well, it kind of feeds into my mentality on slavery. There is modern slavery. I have,
human trafficking.
I've been around the world. I've seen things that I would sell my soul to never even contemplate was going on. I've seen slave markets in the Middle East, and just like the little kids, why can't we stamp out modern day slavery? We have the technology, we have the skills, we can do this. Why is there not an argument? I mean, you look at the politicians and you wonder where the fuck their heads are, and if they need a plexiglass window installed in their stomach because their head is shoved so far up their own asses. Because I watch these people and they talk about, oh, we need this or we need that. What about the basic human right to freedom? The freedom to not be sold as a slave or not to be a sex slave until they breed you out and then they put you out and kill you. And it's where our society is going is to someone like me, and yes, I am a conservative Christian. I make no bones about it. I tend to be a little bit more, you know, right leaning, but I truly believe there are certain things that it doesn't matter your shade of politics. That if you have a heart in your body, you give a damn about your fellow human being. I don't care color. I don't care lifestyle, whatever it may be. If it's lesbian, bisexual, whatever. I'm like Dennis Leary. You want a goat? Here's a goat. Go fuck it and keep going. You know, here you want a sheep? I'll give you two. I don't care. I don't ask you to believe what I believe, but I do ask you to have morals and to take a stand and put someone else other than yourself first for once. And it disgusts me that a movie critic could defend Cuties. That somebody that this production company made it. That this woman who considers herself a Muslim can turn her back on her own religion and make children of her own religion and religious group into sexual objects is beyond me. It's beyond the pale. It makes me want to. I have a garbage can right here, and it makes me want to puke into it right now.
You know what else is fucked up, Flair, is the fact that this is the same Netflix is the same group, the same streaming platform that puts fear and smoking labels on old episodes of the Twilight Zone. Those things are horrible. But this fucking show, nope, we stand behind this 100%. Even though, and to answer your question, Leo, the fact that they're dropping 800% subs and still standing behind it is in fact proof that there is an organization of people that want to normalize this. Otherwise, this show would be gone already.
And also look at what they've done to the cartoons, Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, all these different cartoons that are now edited because, oh, he shot him with a shotgun. Okay, wait a second. Why are you offended by that?
You blow heads off of people in The Walking Dead every fucking week. But yeah, if something happens in a cartoon, oh, our kids are going to grow up and be messed up. But keep in mind, these are the same kids that you'll exploit in a French movie called Cuties on Netflix, available to everyone.
What's that meme? I've seen it probably a million times. That this is it's like Wile E. Coyote riding an Acme rocket, and it says, when I was a kid, I wasn't stupid enough to do this in real life. I knew it was fiction. Where have we gone wrong that we have not put, and for lack of a better term, the fear of God into our children? Where did we veer off and started just accepting that our kids are fucking idiots?
I don't want to laugh at that, but that's about the long and the short of it right there. I can't.
I'm sorry. I mean, I have a cousin that she's in her early teens, and she looks at it and goes, why is this censored? I wouldn't do this. I'm smarter than that. And it's like they censor it because the large they, capital T, capital H, capital E and Y, they think you're an idiot. And they think that you can't think for yourself. And they fear people like us, like Leo and Richard Greeter, who like Pete, that think for themselves. Like I'm going to say it, like Alex, who has an opinion and is not afraid to defend it. And I think that's what we're doing is, we're taking an opinion, our own opinion. We have researched it. It's not racist. It is not sexist. It's not homophobic. I mean, yes,
Look,
I
I'm liberal. Flair is conservative. We don't agree with this. This is something we agree on 100% that this show should not exist. This should not be a normal thing. This disgusts the both of us exactly the same. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. That brings me to Leo Red's comment here. It says blue collar Democrats don't like this either, but it's the entertainment and Hollywood leftists that wants to normalize pedophilia. But when people try to point that out, there might be a child. It might be a child sex. Check sex ring. Here we go. Sex ring in Hollywood. It gets canceled by YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Yep. This video could very well be taken down. I don't know, but the fact that this show is still on Netflix, as this show is live out there on the internet going, is proof that there is a higher power of people in place that would risk their bottom line, would lose all of their subscriptions to keep this on their streaming platform. That I don't understand. I don't understand that. There's no other explanation other than their agenda. I hate to say the word agenda, but the fact that their agenda is more important than their bottom line, because it's still there. It's still on the streaming platform. They have no intention of removing it from their platform.
Tim Poole, I'm going to shout out to Tim Poole, because that man has made he made a very, very valid point. And I'm going to say this, that people live in fear now. They live in fear of being canceled. They live in fear of people finding out their politics, their religion, that what they will die, what hills they will die on and what hills they won't die on. Because if there was a massive outcry, and if people were willing to be the lightning rods, like, I look back at people in history, and there are many that were pariahs in their own day, but were proven right in history. And I sit there and I scrub my head until I can't think straight sometimes about why it is we live in a culture that cannot have hard moral boundaries anymore. That we cannot say, here is the line, we will not cross it. And if you do cross it, we will call you exactly what you are: child pornographers, slave mongers, murderers. I don't, I don't know if I'm even making a cogent argument at this moment in time, but I don't give a damn.
It baffles the mind. It's hard to put to words exactly this particular subject. Every time I address this subject, which is why I decided to do it now in a live setting, because every time I sat down to try to make a video about this, my rants would just go out into the point of where they were not even coherent. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I couldn't even sit down and formulate my thoughts on this, because this is too much. This is my example of too much. I can't accept the fact that a streaming service would allow this, that would continue to defend this, would stand behind this, even though the numbers show that the people, the customers that are paying for your service don't want this. The fact that we have how many states now at Flare X that are filing charges? We know Texas for sure is indicted them.
Utah, and I think what was I can't remember the third one. I have to hang on.
You'll find it again. But yeah, the fact that Texas for sure is the one that's been noted the most. Flare found the other. I'm actually shocked that more states haven't filed suit to join in on this. I mean, I hate to say this, but we know California won't fucking. They're not going to indict him on this, because California is Sodom and Gomorrah at this point.
Oh yeah.
It's on fire for a reason. Okay, it's called karma. It's a bitch. If you live in California, I'm sorry. Stay safe. But if you're smart, you get the fuck out. Okay, I know people that are trying to get the fuck out. So
Utah also leads the nation in numbers of cancellations.
yeah. So the fact that that this is still ongoing, this is still a problem. The fact that multiple states haven't filed suit. I don't care what's considered normal in other countries. Okay, all I know is that the country that I was raised in frowns on this sort of thing, and they should be held accountable. So if you're going to show this in this country, it should apply to our laws. Okay, this should not be advertised on a service. I don't want to see a commercial for this. I don't want to be scrolling through Netflix and see this shit advertised. I don't want it. I don't even want it to exist. Okay. The fact that it already exists, I can't do nothing about it. All I want Netflix to do is be fucking accountable and take this shit off of their service.
Well,
For the decency of the people, take this shit off. Take it off.
The United States fought a war that involved slavery. I think this is to that level. I would go fight. I would willingly lay down my life if one little kid didn't have to go through this bullshit. What Netflix did, if this happened if this was put on film and one of my cousins was involved, I would go to war. And I am not ashamed to say I am a violent man when it comes to this, because I would defend to the death my family, the kids in my family. And if it meant I went to prison for the rest of my life, I would go skipping and singing and happy as a clam, because you know what? I saved my family. And to extend that out, I truly believe children are our future.
Mm-hmm.
And in allowing this to happen, we are putting our future at jeopardy. And I am a humble single man in his 40s. I probably will never have kids, but I am an idealist in this manner, that I would put 100 children. If I could save just one, I would count my life validated in so many ways. If I could save two, so much the better. No, Richard Greeter, it's California.
I actually like that term, Clownifornia. The first time I heard that used was when Nerdrotic had on one of his thumbnails. I'm like, Clownifornia. That is freaking funny. I just like that term. It's so accurate too.
Well, Gavin Newsom, all he needs as governor is the shoes and the little hat, and he'd be a perfect clown, dancing around, saying stupid shit, and driving a beautiful state into the ground. Don't get me started on California. I used to live there. I don't, for many reasons.
So let's see. I do want to skim through some of this article here because it's mostly data. Netflix chief and financial officer Spencer Newman didn't mention Cuties, quote, in a third quarter earnings call this week, instead focusing on the first half of the year when coronavirus lockdowns nationwide drove subscriptions. Well, of course, everybody's stuck at home. Nobody's got movie theaters. The cable, all it does is tell you that, hey, guess what? Everything's closed and we're all in this together. Now, if you still believe at this point in time that we're all in this together, then you are suffering from delusions of grandeur that I can't even fucking fathom. We are not in this together. If the coronavirus has taught me one thing, it has taught me that this is the country of me, me, me. Me first, and everybody else, fuck all y'all. This is selfish bullshit, okay? When you go into stores and you see somebody next to you that has a basket with meat piled this fucking high up out of the basket for one person. One person. Nobody else gets nothing. That's what I've learned in 2020. We are all in this together. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Why couldn't I go to the store and find toilet paper at one point.
For a long time, we all the price of toilet paper probably would have bought you a couple of hookers and at least a bottle of hooch on a weekend. All right, just saying. So Newman told investors the company, quote, came pretty close to meeting its membership goal of 195 million worldwide. For the 3 months that ended September 30th, Netflix added 2.2 million global subscribers, down from the first 2 quarters of 16 million and 10 million respectively. But numbers analyzed by New York data and an analytics firm Antenna and Yipit Data tell a different story. The protests, led by conservatives who claim the film's portrayal of preteen girls living in Paris, hypersexualized children, had made a big dent in the subscriptions. Antenna reported that
they always have to point a finger at conservatives. I don't think it should. We discussed it.
Post,
I don't think it should be a left and right issue.
This is journalism, not necessarily associated with conservatives. But Antenna reported that Netflix lost 5 times as many subscribers in September's first couple of weeks, a few days into the protest, than the company lost in all of August. Yipit Data gave a grimmer numbers, putting September cancellations at 8 times of those in August and declaring the drop a multi-year high. Now, the reason I wanted to show this tonight is to let you know that your vote does count in some fashions, okay? So you canceling your subscriptions, you're telling the service, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to pay you to do something that goes against my moral standards, okay? So I would encourage everybody to cancel your damn Netflix subscription. Just cancel it. You don't need it. You've got plenty of competition out there nowadays. Everybody that has a show on TV has their own goddamn streaming service now, okay? You got Hulu, you got Shudder, you've got Amazon Prime, you've got the Peacock network, for crap's sakes, you got Tubi, Pluto TV. There's plenty of other things you can watch. Besides that, how many times this year, Flair, have we watched Netflix cancel TV shows that some of us are watching? You remember Alex, about a week, not even a week ago, just a couple days ago, was crushed. Alex from our weekend show was crushed that they canceled. Was it Glow or Glee or what? Glow. Glow. Okay, yeah, they canceled Glow. Why did they cancel that?
Wrestling, yeah, a Glow, I believe.
It was a wrestling show, right? Yeah. So he's heartbroken. Okay, how many other shows have been canceled from Netflix? All the Marvel ones. Okay, we'll cancel those without a second thought. But Cuties, nope, that's going to stay on there until the day we die. That tells me right there. That is proof that there is a higher power at work.
Everybody blames the others, and I am sick to death of everybody pointing the finger at somebody else and not looking at themselves. I will sit here and I will point the finger at myself. I have seen some shit in my lifetime that I should have stood up for, and I didn't. And I look back and I regret that every day. It's the argument that people make that they justify it by saying, oh, what is one person going to do? And then I think about someone like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was one man who stood up and said, I will not take this anymore. And he changed the goddamn world. Mm-hmm. If he saw what was going on right now, if he saw it, I think he would be the first one in line with a shotgun looking at these motherfuckers that have ruined his name, and he would be blasting away gleefully, asking for more rounds. And I know this is coming from an angry white guy, but my God, I truly believe that Dr. King would make this world a better place had he survived. And he did. And you know what? Yes, I'm conservative. Shoot me. But you know what? I would take 100 him in a heartbeat over what's going on in this world today.
Yeah.
And it may be, unpopular, but by God, I would so go back in time and and change that bullet's trajectory for all it's worth. Because you know what? If we had him around, I think it would be a voice of sanity speaking from the wilderness.
I would go back in time and just stay there. I miss some of those old days. Richard Greeter says, I don't have Netflix. I have DVDs and Blu-rays. Now, Richard Greeter, you're new to my channel, and I appreciate you coming back every week, by the way. Appreciate your subscription. You mean a lot to me. If you were part of my channel last year, a lot of people were laughing at me. Flair wasn't, because how many times did I say in my old videos, Flair, make sure you buy the DVD. If you love the movie, buy it on DVD. Buy it on Blu-ray. Keep your physical copies. Don't trade that shit in. Don't pay a monthly fee to watch your favorite freaking movies.
You said it probably at least
1,000 million times, right? Did I not tell you I would go out on those? I called them expeditions. I'd go out on the hunts, and I was going to Best Buy. Best Buy decreased their physical footprint by a lot. The world collectively welcomed in the digital age. They embraced the digital age. They embraced the streaming. So the store said, well, we don't need all this physical footprint anymore, so we'll decrease it. So they had bins full of Blu-rays, and I mean good stuff, all right?
Yeah.
The Untouchables, Full Metal Jacket. I mean, great freaking movies, and I bought all of them.
I picked up box sets that normally sell for 60, 70, 80 bucks for $5. And I was gleefully handing over $20 bills, buying up bins.
Remember the X-Files box set, the big old X-Files, the whole 10 seasons of X-Files was normally $150, $175. I think I picked it up for $89.99. It was on sale at Best Buy. Brand new. I bought the whole box set. That's a TV show.
Yeah.
That we remember we would have to rearrange our weekly schedule so that we could watch that damn show. Unless you were smart enough to set your VCR to tape it, you'd risk the chance that maybe the power would go out or your tape would mess up. The video, guys, sound so old when I say this. The video recorder would eat your blank tape, and then you wouldn't be able to watch that episode because they didn't always show them on reruns. Your world revolved around those new episodes coming out. That was like the show. That was what they called must-watch TV. That and The Sopranos were two shows that pretty much put the movie business out of business for a while because those shows were so important to people watching them. Now when you watch them, you have to sign into your fucking account. You have to have a password for each one of these stupid things. You have to download it onto your streaming device. And then you have to log in again and put in your password and use the Little Orphan Annie secret decoder ring to log into all this bullshit. If you're not crazy enough and old to remember all your passwords in the first place, or you could just take your Blu-ray and shove it into the Blu-ray player, which don't cost anything anymore. You can buy a halfway decent Blu-ray player for about $30.
Yeah.
And watch that shit on any TV. So, yeah, I encourage, if you don't have Netflix, I have DVDs and Blu-rays. Now, you can't buy every single TV show on Blu-ray and DVD. Otherwise, you're going to run out of breathing room really fast. But the ones that you like to watch repeatedly, the ones that you know you can go back and revisit over and over again, those you should own as many of them as you possibly can. And if you look on Amazon or look on Best Buy, those things do periodically go on sale. Get them when they're cheap. Don't buy them full price. Get them on sale, man. He's got to go grab some Blu-rays and DVDs and bring them back, I'm sure. But yeah, you should have those things. Here we go. Leia Red says, great Blu-ray and DVD finds at Dollar Tree. Yes, about a year ago, all the stores were clearancing that shit out and giving them away. And I bought all of them. I did not think twice about spending money on them. And sure enough, now that we're having trouble with all these streaming services, now that I've been living in areas where we have brownouts in the internet service, your internet goes out at night sometimes. There you go, right there. Let me see.
Galactica.
I can't stress that show enough. How wonderful it is. Battlestar Galactica is very rewatchable. The whole saga tells one story, and it tells it well.
And then I am a sucker for Jim Henson's Creature Shop. So I own the entire Farscape.
Nice.
And I make no bones about it. I will. Claudia Black is one of my favorite characters ever. And one of these days, we're going to have a conversation about strong women characters, and she is a strong goddamn character.
And that was back in the 90s when we weren't making such a big deal out of it all the time. Remember?
Exactly.
Watch shows. Yeah. So, okay, see, we got Leah Red says, I remember setting my VCR timer to record Transformers, Beast Wars, and Pokemon in the mornings while I was in school every morning. That was a little bit past me, but I was more old school Transformers and G.I. Joe. Null White, welcome to the chat, buddy. Best thing I did was get the whole series of Married with Children. Yes. I have done that too. And I'll buy a digital copy of a TV show sometimes, and I'll watch that. When there's nothing else on, I'll go back and marathon a TV show because I'm not having ads thrown at me right and left. They having to sit through commercials. The streaming war is a joke. It really is a fucking joke. Most of you people right now that have the streaming service, if you sat down and added what you're spending on rentals and subscription services, I guarantee you're paying 8 times more than what you're paying when you had all this shit consolidated on cable. You're all getting fucked on this deal. Everybody's getting fucked in the streaming war. So that's why I'm saying I had no trouble getting rid of my Netflix subscription. I got rid of it. This was the last straw for me. This was it. I was already unhappy with the service, but the fact that this was going on was I can't deal with it. I can't have a conscience. I can't consciously live with myself if I continue to pay money to a service that allows Cuties to be a thing.
Well, and I also am very sick of Disney Plus editing their show.
That's another one. I actually
buying physical means you get them unedited, and it's I sit and I go back to when Cartoon Network first started editing Tom and Jerry, and they took away the smoking, they took away the gunfire, the big booms of Jerry blowing up Tom and Tom blowing up Jerry, and now you can't watch that because
I don't know if you're aware of this, but they just made I just heard this a couple days ago, and I didn't find the article, so I didn't have it in time for the show. I apologize, but they've made Flair where they're actually going to show the movies on Disney Plus unedited, but they're going to have disclaimers before they show it. Now, why do you suppose that's happening? Because they're losing money.
Yeah.
They're losing money because nobody wants to pay for censored content. Now, Disney will censor that, but Netflix says, no, you can have underage girls twerking on your TV show. No problem. It'll be fine. Oh, God. So, yeah, Leo says, Groovinator, that was during high school. Well, Leo, I'm old as fuck, all right? I'm old as fuck.
I hate to say this, but we both are.
Yeah, we're old as fuck. We're old guys. We have seen the world. We're sharing our wisdom with you. Okay. Richard says I have the whole series of the X-Files seasons 1 and 2 of the Outer Limits have to get Twilight Zone. Yes, Twilight Zone is on my radar, and most of you guys have already joined me. I'm on another streaming platform called Loitering in Wonderland, and every Tuesday we talk about old episodes of the Twilight Zone, and we're almost done with season 5. So make sure you turn in for that. We talk about one episode of Twilight Zone for an hour. Now, keep in mind, those shows are 25 minutes long, but we'll talk about it for an hour. Hey, Guilty Syphos? Did I say that right? Guilty Syphos? Damn it, Netflix, why? I want to watch your good stuff. Why did you ruin it? It says here, why did you put this here? Yeah, that's our problem too, Guilty Syphos. For all the good that, you guys remember back in the day when Netflix was that cool place where you could order a Blu-ray and hang on to it as long as you wanted. And then when you're done watching it, you could put it back in an envelope and mail it back. I know I'm showing my age here, but for me, that didn't seem like that was that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
I think the last one of those I did was like maybe 2008, 2000. And I can't remember what movie it is. I want to say Law Abiding Citizen, but I could be wrong.
I also remember when Netflix, when my mother and I first got Netflix, I am a huge anime fan, and the anime that they had on Netflix was worth the cost of Netflix alone. I mean, if you tried to go and find all of these shows, outside of Japan, you'd be paying, 100, $300 because it literally was, the best. See, that is where I think that the streaming wars is killing people, is that it used to be, Netflix used to be the aggregator of shows that they would put on, shows, and they changed the world with it.
And then everybody wanted to copy that business model. It's remember that term that we used to use not too long ago. It was like maybe a year or two ago. Flair. It's like there's no Netflix when everybody's Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly where we're at now. Everybody's got their own damn Netflix, and you know what? I don't have those nostalgia berries. I don't feel like I owe Netflix any money at this point. I really don't. There's plenty of competition. There's plenty of other ways I can consume entertainment. I'm not going to let them hold me hostage and tell me that, these things that I disagree with are okay. You cannot watch this. Says Netflix used to be fun. Started in 2007. I was introduced to so many classics and new films. REP Netflix. No, I don't agree with you. You cannot watch it. It's not an REP Netflix. A couple reasons. For one, they're not gone yet. Okay.
Watch
two,
it.
They can.
Yes, man. You and your sister, man. You make some fun videos.
But they can fix this. Yeah, they can fix. Oh, I'm sorry, Flair. I was interrupting you.
That's okay. It's okay.
He was giving you a little shout out there. He's a fan of your channel, and I am too. I watch your content when I can.
Dude, but your Macross retrospective, top drawer.
And Macross is an anime that I actually got into, and I actually liked that. So I watched it on Amazon Prime, and I liked it so much I was going to go buy it. Nope, can't do that. There's no buying the Macross saga. You just have to watch that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to address though is I don't agree with RIP Netflix because for one, Netflix can easily fix this fucking problem right now. All they have to do is take the fucking show off. Take it off. Move it. Take it off. Or don't show it in this region. Remove it for the United States and show it in France or wherever this is considered to be coming of age or acceptable or whatever. That's disgusting, but don't show it here where people are offended by it enough to where they're going to take the dollar away. Because you have to understand, I think people are starting to wise up to this. The best way to make sure your vote counts is to stop giving them your money. Do it with the video games, do it with the movies, do it with the streaming services. Stop giving them your money.
I can see that. I guess what I meant was RIP the fun Netflix, because
I guess that's what we're getting at. So
there used to be a whole the Sci-Fi Channel catalog used to be on Netflix. So you got what was that the one about the Fae, Lost Girl. They had all the seasons of Lost Girl, and what an amazing show that was for its time. And and you cannot find that anywhere now, and you can't buy it physically because I have tried. So I look at it and say, they're pulling. See, Netflix used to be a wool coat or a wolf sweater, and then HBO wanted their content to keep their content, so they pulled one little string out, and that sweater that you loved unraveled because literally things went to Disney Plus, to HBO. I see things on what were we discussing Friday night that Stars has locked down. Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein. Yeah, Shudder has the original Halloween. Right now, you can't buy the original Halloween. You could up until recently. You could buy Halloween on Vudu, which is Walmart's streaming service. You could buy Halloween. Now you can't. It just starts at Halloween 2, and you can buy all the sequels. If you want to watch Halloween on streaming, you have to subscribe to Shudder. Now, I already got Halloween. I've got Halloween on like 3 different Blu-rays, so I'm good, baby. I don't need that shit. But if you want to buy it digital, yeah, they some of these streaming services, they will hold a movie hostage because they know they ain't got shit else going for them.
Guilty Zyphos, I don't know if it's social justice or just the way society is going.
I don't think it's so much social justice. But I do think that there is a higher power at work that want to normalize pedophilia. I do. I think the fact that they will sacrifice their bottom line to keep this on their streaming service, even if it means losing all their subscribers, I think that's proof that there's a higher power at work. I really do. Until I see evidence to tell me otherwise, right now I'm kind of leaning in that direction.
But thank you, Leo, for putting the link out to You Can't Unwatch It. Greatly appreciate that. And I Richard Greeter, I do agree that Disney is acting out of desperation, but they're flailing. And
yeah, I think in the case with Disney, it's a lot of a little too late.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And they shot themselves in the foot with their pricing scheme, and they needed to be more like Netflix in the $12 or $13 range.
Yeah,
and the $6.99 for their content, and
well,
then there's
$6.99 and then $30 if you want to watch a piece of shit like Mulan.
Yeah,
here's Mulan that nobody wants for $29.95 to watch it once.
I don't know if who their PR agent is, but they ought to be taken out to the nearest post and shot at dawn. I mean, literally. So You Can't Unwatch It. You only got Shudder. I'm not that good. I've got a few.
Shudder's really good. Like I said, I can't talk up. By the way, I put the link up here to You Can Unwatch This. Go to You Can Unwatch It at this link right here and subscribe to their channel. They put out really good stuff.
Yes, they do.
But yeah, the Shudder streaming service, I can't talk that one up enough because I mean, for the paltry $6 a month that they're asking you for, you got a really good selection of classic and new movies. I watched a newer one last night. And it was on Joe Bob Briggs' Halloween special, and it was called Haunt. And I think that came out in 2018. It was a horror movie. I actually thought it was pretty good. I never even heard of it before. They've got stuff on there that younger people, like independent filmmakers that want to make a good impression, is good to start in horror because you can do a lot with the horror genre for a very low budget. It's been proven time and time again. You can really get your name out there and show people what hone your skills, hone your writing skills. And in addition to Shudder has original entertainment, they've got the resurrection of the Creep Show. They turned Creep Show into an actual TV series where each week there's 2 short stories. And then also they've got Joe Bob's Last Drive-In, which if you guys grew up in the 90s like me and Flair did, you remember Joe Bob Briggs had TNT's Monster Vision. Well, he resurrected his show on Shudder, and it's called The Last Drive-In, and he gets to show some really risque, fucking gory-ass, horrible shit, and he could swear. So he's unhinged, and I'll tell you right now, older, angrier Joe Bob is really cool. I mean, I can't get enough of it. You really want to check that out. So
Guilty Zyphos, I don't know if anybody's forcing them into this. I think they feel they are serving a niche community and defending it as such. And that plays into what Jerry Jason
said.
I
want to acknowledge this comment. Jerry Jason says, this is like Rome. It's just like a symptom of the rot in the U.S. This LGBT guys dressing like women in the highest offices, trillions in debt. All this happened to Rome as it went down. This is the New World Order. We were actually talking about that earlier, that exact same.
Well, and it's larger than that as well, because you look at both Adam and I are retired military, and I don't know about him. I'm not going to make a comment, but I see this glorification of the military class. I did not join the military to be glorified. I did it to get out of a bad situation. I served my country. I did it gladly and willingly. And then I wanted to go back to be quiet, a good citizen. I don't see that anymore. I see them getting, new benefits and, the post 9/11 GI Bill. It's like bribery for the military class to vote a certain way, and it drives me up a wall. And I could rant for hours on that, just about how bad the VA is. But it boils down to we're making all the same mistakes and thinking that they're new, because we have lost. I'm a historian, so I'm biased. I have a background in research and critical thinking on the historical aspects of both culture, society, the military, because I went for military history when I got out. um it all lines up, and a lot people do not want to learn history. They want little tidbits, because every time I hear
They also want to
someone,
rewrite history too. I've
yes,
noticed that's a
well,
thing.
but they want it fed in little tidbits, little bites, little spoonfuls.
Like the stuff you're taught in school.
They don't want context, and they don't want to take. I hear this argument from people that say, "Oh, history is so hard. I can't. It's all dates and memorization." And then I sit down and I have a conversation with them. And it's not about dates. It's not about it's about confluences of events and how they come together, then they spread out, and then they come back together. And when
And
I was
also, what does society learn from those events? More important.
exactly,
Yeah.
what lessons do you take from those moments in time? Are they the correct ones, or are they the wrong ones?
I wanted to acknowledge this one real quick before I forgot. You owe it to yourself to watch Suburban Sasquatch, then, the best and worst Bigfoot movie. Guilty Syphos, you're obviously a fan of Red Letter Media, because they mentioned that on there, and I've been trying to track that one down. Red Letter Media is my absolute favorite YouTube channel. I love what they do with their best of worst series, and I've found movies on there which I've actively go and I try to track down. So at some point I will actually watch those. And it says here, Manliness Motivation says, I just picked up, oh yeah, the Cypher Dia said Netflix is getting charged for Cuties too. Yes, Texas did indict Cuties, and at least two other states are going to file charges. So I would hope that soon, and I mean real fucking soon, other states will follow suit and it'll become more nationwide. I don't think it's going to happen right away, but I think it should. And I think a lot of it's going to hinge on what happens in Texas. I do.
Yeah, I agree.
Manliness Motivation said, I just picked up the complete Rockford Files series on DVD for $5. Yeah, you can get, if you comb, if you go to stores, if you're out and about, you can see some DVDs in some stores that still have them. Get them before they're gone, because they're phasing them out like cassettes. Remember when video cassettes cleared out? Remember when audio cassettes cleared out? CDs are being phased out of Best Buy. I'm not going to tell you go out and buy your CDs, because you can get music pretty much anywhere at this point. But if you really value what there's a certain moment in time where you were excited to go out and buy the CD, listen to the music, and read the linear notes and who was in charge and who wrote this song. And sometimes they had little pictures. Sometimes they had little stories. To me, movies are the same way. If it's something that I can't live without, it's something that I have to have a physical copy. And for me, it's difficult because my living space keeps shrinking because of my income. Okay, so I have to be real picky. And I hate that I have to be so picky. I wish to God I could just have a big giant room full of movies. I would do it. I would live on top of my movies if I could make it economically feasible. But I have a lot of them. Yeah.
I go for the trifecta: music, movies, and books.
Right. But all physical things that you can consume, you're not reliant on the internet to consume those things.
What I love about living here in Idaho is there is it's an independent chain called Entertain Mart, and they still have physical copies, they sell physical books, they sell physical music. We also have a little store here called the Long Ear, and it's literally they sell used, they sell new, they sell vinyl. It is so cool to go into that place, and you step in and you smell the old smell from the days gone, where you're just like, this is history in real life,
Yeah.
and it's so great. What happens if they get charged guilty Zyphos? The CEO could be put in jail. It could be just hefty fines. I
Yeah,
mean,
hefty fines. What I hope happens, here's what I hope happens. If the guy got jail time, that would be poetic justice. But what I want to happen is I want anything to have this show removed from its streaming service. I want
yeah,
it gone. I want it gone. I want the stink of it off of there. I don't want them to ever feel like they can get away with this again, because this is a problem that I feel has to be nipped in the bud right now.
personally, I would like to see the board, because they had to approve this, and the CEO, the CFO. I'd like to see a clean sweep, put them in jail. And I know that puts a whole lot of former politicians into the clink. But by God, let's stand on this moral line and say we will go this far and no further.
You have to send a message. You really do. You have to make an example of these people, and you have to send a message. So yeah, I think somebody, if not a group of people, need to go to jail for sure.
And I hate saying this because I don't like the political hot potato that it is, but perp walk the goddamn Obamas for what they are doing in Netflix alone. And I not as a conservative, but as a moral human being, I would be there with a sign saying shame on you, because I don't see, that's where I think we have lost so much, is there is no shame in our in these industries anymore. The only thing they fear is Twitter itself, and the backlash society, and when the silent majority stays silent, what's the old saying? The only thing for evil to prevail is for good men to say nothing. And that's what's happening, is good people on both sides of the aisle, all the way, the all political spectrum, is not, we are not standing up, we are not making a stink, and we are letting this shit slide, and it's a slippery fucking slope, and we are not safe on it, because we fail our own children. And I'll go back to that. We are failing our own children.
Richard Greeter says most movies I like are older movies. I'm there too, but you know what? What's sad about that, Richard Greeter, is that I don't know about you, Flair, but I didn't want to be. I know that all older people get to a certain point where it's like, oh, they don't make them like they used to, and I'll just watch my old Western. I didn't want to be at that point in my mid-40s, dude.
No, I didn't either.
I wanted to watch the movies. I used to, you guys know, all right, if you guys have been subscribed to me for a while, I used to go to the movies every Thursday night and see as many movies as I could, and go right home and write those reviews, record them on YouTube, and upload them. And they were getting watched. I miss that lifestyle. I will sit through 40 bad movies to get to a good one. I don't give a fuck. I used to do that. I miss that.
There are some gems. There are, in okay, I'm gonna bang a gong for a movie that is, it's a little. It was an anniversary of World War I. Peter Jackson went back and colorized World War One footage for the British. It's called They Shall Not Grow Old. And it is probably one of the best movies I have seen in modern times. It brought the horrors, the sadness, the sacrifice, the power of World War One. And I mean, whatever you think of Peter Jackson and his Lord of the Rings, the man owns an artillery park. He literally his grandfather died in World War One, and he has spent a lot of his money on getting accurate uniforms, keeping the memory alive of history, and it is amazing. That movie is, I recommend it to anybody who likes history. I Yes, I'm a history geek. I admit it freely. But it is one of those movies that brings the power, and it was everything that Peter Jackson did good in The Lord of the Rings exponentially better.
And to bring one more trend, now I'm going to move on to the next subject because we're like an hour and 11 minutes and we haven't even got into our second topic. I guess we really drove this into the wall, but I needed to. Okay, I can't stress enough to not accept this, to cancel this channel and let them know that you're not going to put up with this, because at the end of the day, they're going to have somebody to pay the bills. All right, the revenue doesn't come from the sky. There's no free manna for having pedophilia bait, child pornography on your streaming service.
China's not going to put the bill forever.
Right. You know what? Even the actual, God forbid, the pedos that actually do like this kind of stuff, there's not enough of them to support your bottom line. So think about that. But also, I want to mention one more thing about the older movies. Every weekend, we watch bad movies on our channel. You join us on Friday night. We watch it on a tab. We'll find them on YouTube. We'll tell you about them if we can't show them to you, and we let you vote on them. We experience, it's like a group setting. What we do is kind of like a hybrid between Mystery Science Theater and Joe Brob's Last Drive-In. It's like we're telling you a little bit about the movie, we're watching the movie, we're scoring the movie, and we also mention more times like, man, they don't do this like they used to, or they don't do that like they used to. We're watching the bad ones. We're not even watching the good ones. There's plenty of good ones out there, but I do want to move on to the next topic, if you don't mind. Let's see. Richard Greer says, I didn't want to get that point either, but Hollywood's going woke, change that. Get the woke, go broke, change that. Yeah, it's there's too much of it, and it gets to where it's just like, we've all gotten to a point where we can put up with just a little bit of it, but if it just becomes that's all that it is, then it ceases to become interesting. You want to abandon your older audiences for the new audiences, and the new audiences have the attention span of like about that much. So
no, they don't even have the attention span of a ant farting.
They really don't. So, but yeah, what does woke mean? Woke means people that are politically correct just for the sake of being politically correct. They're doing it to demonstrate. They're
better than you because they care.
They want to get on a platform. They want to say, I'm better than you because I'm more politically correct and moral superior to you. And
go back and Rush Limbaugh did a TV show back in the 90s. He did a segment about it started with ribbons, and you would wear a ribbon because you cared. You cared more than the average person about breast cancer or titties falling off.
I remember this Carlin bit.
Or name your passion. You cared about the bunnies, the little hoppy floppy eared bastards that run around and multiply. Well, he had every ribbon he put on like a Cabbage Patch for the military. So he had AIDS, he had this, he had that, and then it was so hilarious because it looked like one of those North Korean generals with all their medals going from the top of their shoulder down to their crotch. And he did the absurd to highlight the absurd, and it was one of his best bits I have ever seen on social commentary. And I would say you can find it on YouTube. It is hilarious because the way Rush puts it out there, it is so much like how people are today, that they care more than you because they are on Twitter and they are the social mafia. And if you don't do it their way, oh my God, the world is going to end.
Yeah, it's forcing you to take sides. I agree. It's a little bizarre, but we're going to move on to the next topic.
Yes,
All right, and this is how the Uncharted movie can beat Indiana Jones at its own game. Now, first of all, fuck Screen Rant.
Yeah.
Fuck them. All right. The only reason that I put this up was because I do a lot of research for pop culture, especially now that there's no movies coming out. I look desperately for things to talk about or things to read about because I don't want to just wake up every morning and look at the current poll results. I want a little bit more in life. And my bread and butter is I love to talk about movies. I absolutely love talking about movies, and I created a group called Raiders of the Lost Flicks to bring people together to talk about movies so that we can forget about our own miserable existence for just a couple hours out of the day, all right? And that's what my bad movie watch and review is. It's like 2.5 hours that we look forward to every week where we can sit down and watch a bad movie with you and laugh about it and talk about it at the same time. So, but that being said, there are still bad movies continuing to be made over and over again. And the news did drop just this past week here that Tom Holland, of all people, is going to be playing Nathan Drake in the new Uncharted movie that's coming out. And if you're not familiar with Uncharted, you've been hiding under a rock somewhere. That's a video game that's based on Indiana Jones, which is also based on Tomb Raider, which is also based on Indiana Jones, an adventure series that you play. In those series, the video game is based on action-adventure movies. Now, Indiana Jones is based on the old television serials. And if you don't know what serials are, they used to be movies that were shorter back in the days, back in, I want to say maybe pre-World War II. The shorter movies would have serials. And what that was like, there was no TV. So you had a soap opera style movie, like an extended movie that would be shown in segments. Okay, so like 1 week some guy would get trapped, and then it'd be like, tune in next week, and you come back and he'd get out of that, and then they'd go on to the next stage. And all of the Star Wars movies and all of the Indiana Jones movies were based on those old serials because George Lucas and Steven Spielberg loved those when they were growing up. And they sat down one day and they said, you know what? And this was in the 70s, mind you, when there was a lot of good stuff coming out. They said, you know what? They don't make these movies like they used to. Let's make one of those old serial movies. Let's make a throwback movie. So they made Star Wars because those are based on the serials, but that was set in a futuristic type of a setting, a science fiction. Let's do something that was set in like the World War II era. So they came up with Indiana Jones. Okay, that's the character that they created. And as you guys know, there's been 4 movies. 3 of them are pretty good. One of them is questionable, even if you like it. All right, but they've been talking about
no lies detected.
No lies detected. They've been talking for about a year that they're going to make Harrison Ford, who just absolutely refuses to let go of this character, they're going to make an Indiana Jones 5. Now, Harrison Ford is getting very old, okay?
Isn't he?
Yes, he's in his 70s. He is Grandpa series, all right? So if you watch the Indiana Jones movies, even the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, they are very action-oriented, and Harrison Ford likes to do his own stunts. I don't know how much this guy thinks he's going to do in his 70s. I mean, he can barely fly anymore, so
without crashing.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then also, we're all scared about Indiana Jones 5 anyway because of who's in charge. Kathleen Kennedy is in charge of Lucasfilm and has thus far managed it into the toilet. So Indiana Jones 5 is one day it's going to come out, one day it ain't going to come out. So now it's going to be how the Uncharted movie can beat Indiana Jones 5 in its own game. I'm not going to read this article. If you want to go to Screen Rant, read it, that's fine. But what I did pose was, which one of these dumpster fires do you think is going to be worse? And I got some interesting results, so I'm going to go ahead and share those with you. And if you want to right now, you can go to raidersofthelostflicks.com. Let me pull it up here. I'll get the exact link, and you can vote for which one of these you think is going to be. Because I'll tell you something right now, even before I get to that, okay? Uncharted. This is something nobody ever thinks. So let me give myself a single here, because I can't drive this home enough, okay? Video game movies in general. Why do they suck so much? This is why they suck so much. Video games, the ones that you play, that you buy, most of the video games are based on movies. If you played Resident Evil, it was based on the George Romero zombie movies, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, okay? If you played Tomb Raider, it was based on Indiana Jones. If you played Uncharted, it was based on Indiana Jones, maybe a little bit of Romancing the Stone, okay? Those are meant to be immersed in. They're meant to be played. When you make a movie out of those things, what you're essentially making is a copy of a copy. So when you watch these kind of lame, you're not meant to watch the cut scenes in order for 59, 90 minutes or 2 hours or 2.5 hours, however long the movie's going to be. That's not meant to be experienced. What you wind up getting in return is a copy of a copy. So you're watching a lame action movie that's only relevant if you played the game. But it's a lot more fun if you actually play the game, because you're choosing the adventure as you go. You're making the decisions. If you're watching what's thrown in front of you, you're just watching another lame action movie, because guess what? The game that you love so much was made copying another movie. So it is, in fact, a copy of a copy. So if you wonder why the lame action movie that was made based on the video game is so lame, it's because it's a copy of another action movie. That's the end of my rant. I just wanted to get that out there. That's why I don't usually get excited about video game movies. And without further ado, let me get to that poll.
But you know what? You lost me at Angelina Jolie with big tits.
Well, that's fair. And my sister's a big fan of that one, too. And I'll actually throw out there that there have been a couple of decent video game movies. The ones that are good are the ones where you can tell the story without relying too much on the video game mechanics. And the two that come to mind, most recently Sonic the Hedgehog, and also I would throw in Silent Hill. I thought Silent Hill was a very decent version of a video game. You could tell that the director and writer that actually liked the game. So
Sonic is on my list to buy. My mother and I both sat down, and I haven't played Sonic since the Sega Genesis days when it was new. So I truly believe that was we both enjoyed it immensely, and
it's a good time. Yeah, it was surprisingly good. Yeah.
Above and beyond great. And you know,
it was good to see old school Jim Carrey back for sure.
Exactly. Before he got his head shoved so far up his butt with politics.
Here or there, but I wanted to show you this poll right here. The poll results for which could potentially be a bigger dumpster fire. And I got an overwhelming, make sure I refresh this so this is 100% accurate. Overwhelming 20 votes. I've got 75% says Indiana Jones 5, 25% says Uncharted.
Well, and I agree with the 75% because honestly, Uncharted has no previous movies to live up to. Harrison Ford has to live up to, you know, are they going to roll Sean Connery out in a wheelchair? You know,
Dad, you're still alive?
kind of
course I'm alive, you old bastard.
So, you know, I really feel that we're gonna hit. I think it's gonna be. I love that meme of the dumpster floating down the stream on fire. I mean, that's what's going to.
Let's see. Do I still have that on here? Or did I take it off? Let me see. I had that on.
You know, I love Harrison. I think he was a great actor, but holy crow, man! When does an actor give up?
Yeah, it's a strange case of somebody not knowing when to let go too. I think is part of it.
Null White, thank you for coming. Thank you for shouting out Fatal J. He's great.
Oh yeah, Fatal J is a good friend of ours. So here, if you want to go to this poll here, I just put the link up in the chat, and you can vote. So far, it's 50-50, Indiana Jones and Uncharted. I'll give you some time to maybe vote on that a little bit more. If it turns out being a tie, that's kind of funny too. Personally, I don't want to see either one of them, and I know that sounds strange coming from me. I've got Raiders of the Lost Flicks logo in the background. Obviously, I'm a fan of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, I'm a fan of Indiana Jones. I used to dress up like him on the channel. I just didn't bring any of that costume stuff with me. I'm not saying I won't do it again in the future. But I still don't want to see old Indiana Jones. And more importantly, I don't want to see old Indiana Jones coming out under Kathleen Kennedy's rule. I have a feeling that, especially if they have Jonathan Kasdan attached to writing the script, that's the same idiot that wrote Solo, a Star Wars story, and I'm not a fan of that either. So I don't want to watch Indiana Jones get wrecked. I'd rather not see any Indiana Jones at all than to just see something that we like get wrecked. You know what I mean? So I don't want to see either one of them, to be honest with you. But
it really boils down to so many of our beloved franchises get destroyed by these people who think they're doing great things for the movies. And I remember, they were saying that when they rebooted um, Tomb Raider, with this little gal who God bless her soul, she tried her heart out to be Laura Croft, but she wasn't even in the same range as Angelina Jolie, and that's saying a lot. I mean, I'm not saying Angelina Jolie was the worst actress ever, but if she could act her way out of a wet paper sack, it would be news to anybody.
So I'll give, before I move on to the next topic, I'll give everybody one more chance to vote. Go to raidersofthelostflicks.com. I've got a link in the chat right now, and make sure you vote for which one will be the biggest dumpster fire. Will it be the Uncharted movie with Tom Holland, or will it be Indiana Jones 5? This is your last chance to place a vote. Give you a couple minutes. We'll talk a little bit about it while we're letting you make that vote. But yeah, my other problem too is I see a lot of what they do with our nostalgia, how they mine our nostalgia, and they never give you what you want. All they do is remind you of what you don't have. That's a lot of what I get out of nostalgia nowadays.
Guilty Zyphos with the comment, Star Wars fell from grace, honestly. Yeah. You're absolutely right. They beat on the member berries too hard, and they squashed them. Because it was, we'll kill Han. We're going to have a Space Mary Poppins Leia, and Luke is going to force it so hard that he kills himself. Well, what the fuck do I want to watch that for? I mean, I'm sorry. I watched Star Wars because it was.
They messed it up so bad to where they couldn't tell any stories anymore. They really painted themselves into a corner with that one, and it was sad. Yeah. I want to announce, just comment right here, with Kathleen Kennedy running Lucasfilms, Indiana Jones 5 will be a disaster with Kathleen Kennedy at the helm. Forget it. Yeah, it's gonna demasculize the hero. I don't want to see Indiana Jones die. I don't want to see him as an old man. I don't want to see it's going to be dour and grim. And they already said that James Mangold's going to direct it. I don't think he's the right guy for your jaunty adventure, like playful adventure film. I don't think this is the day and age where you can show an Indiana Jones movie and have it feel like the original Indiana Jones movie. If Spielberg and Lucas aren't attached to it, I don't think you're even going to have. And even those guys, they don't want old superheroes anymore. Those guys are wrapped up in doing period pieces. Spielberg always wants to do history movies, and I'm not saying that they're not good. It's just the days of him doing Jaws or E.T. or Close Encounters of the Third Kind, They're over. They're gone. That part of him has matured into what he is, and we're not going to get that recreation again. And we're not going to get that from J.J. Abrams because all he's doing is just copying whatever Spielberg did in some older movies. He maybe does one good movie, and then nobody else can fix it from there. So I don't want that either. I just would rather there was no Indiana Jones than bad Indiana Jones. And I can't stress this enough that I am a fan of movies. I don't support franchises. I don't believe in franchises. See, movies are not meant to be a team sport, okay? You don't go and see Star Wars just because it has the Star Wars logo on it. If you do that, you're the one that's losing every time. And Disney is the one that's raking in all of the money. You're constantly saying, yes, I'll pay for whatever crappy shit you throw out here and make me watch, and I'll keep paying for it because I'm a sucker, all right? I'll go to the Blackhawks games. I'm a NHL Chicago Blackhawks hockey fan. I'll go support that team, even if it's worse, because that is meant for that. That's a team sport. You go and support your team. You don't go and support your logo. People need to stop treating movies like they're a team sport. Yeah, there you go. San Jose Sharks, okay? He understands hockey. You can support your team, but supporting your logo means that you're giving free permission to any dumb director that wants to make his version of what he thinks you ought to watch.
Well, and it really, to me, I heard a great analogy the other day. The House of Mouse is the Titanic.
Yeah.
And it's death of a thousand cuts, and it's the perfect storm. That the house that Walt Disney built is being destroyed by these idiots like Kathleen Kennedy, and putting out drivel such as the sequels to Star Wars, and trusting in bad reboot, as Doomcock loves to call them.
Bad reboot. The Doomcock, hail Dominions.
So you hit the nail on the head where you look at someone like Spielberg and Lucas. Lucas has lost his passion for movies. Plain and simple. He just doesn't give a damn anymore. He sold out. But Spielberg is Hollywood is not engendering these artists it doesn't challenge them like it used to.
No.
There is
no taking risks. There's no risks at all. Everything has to be attached to a marketable brand. Like they treat all of these franchises like they're McDonald's. Okay, it's like, oh well, see, if we open the Golden Arches in this particular area, this demographic will consume this product over here at this particular time. So it's stupid, and people need to realize that you're just, when it comes to these movies, you're just you're a number on a spreadsheet, man. That's all you are. Your opinions don't mean shit. These studios don't even care if the reviews are bad. All they care is what they get off of the box office number.
Well, Disney will just buy good reviews.
No shit, Captain Marvel. Anyone? Anyway, so back to my view. Let me zoom this a little bit so we can see.
My big cat has decided to show up.
So here, which will suck more? It's still Indiana Jones 5. So you know what? This needs to tell you something, Lucasfilm. If anybody you're watching this, we don't want Indiana Jones 5. The world has spoken. They'll give Uncharted a chance. I mean, personally, I don't want to see that get made either. But Indiana Jones 5 will suck more. And I agree with you, Flair. I do agree. There's not been an Uncharted movie made yet, even though I would argue that all of the games essentially are one ongoing series of movies. That's neither here nor there. People don't want to take the time to sit and beat the game to find out how the story ends, even though you know as well as I do, you can Google a perfectly good walkthrough that tells you how it ends anyway.
Yeah.
Multiple endings be damned, but expansions be damned. But if you want to just go watch a movie on Uncharted, I guess you don't really have a lot of risk. I played Uncharted games. I don't think Tom Holland's the right guy. I don't think he's the right guy. Yeah, there you go. Final Fantasy. I don't think Tom Holland's the right guy for that part, but this is how movies are made, folks. Okay, producers see that a guy that was in this movie made this much money in 2018 or 2019 or 2017, they're going to put that guy in the movie whether he's right for the part or not. They're not going to put Nathan Fillion in there because Nathan Fillion ain't done shit in the movie since Serenity, and that was like, what, 2005?
Well, and Nathan Fillion has baggage from why Castle was was shut down was over accusations of Me Too on him.
Yep.
And so now he's doing
look at that shit. Yeah.
And so now he's had to go back and try to rebuild his career off of The Rookie, which is, it's an excellent show, but it's a cop drama. How much is he going, how much is he going to maneuver out of that?
You know what, Richard Reeder, I'm glad you brought that up because you gave me an excellent opportunity to segue into our next topic. And I'm going to cover that a little bit more. Let me change to the next topic here. And that is AMC theaters are about to head into bankruptcy, all right? I know I have mentioned this ad nauseum, but it's something that I am deeply, deeply concerned about because it affects what I do as a movie critic, what I do on this channel. I am embracing old movies a lot more, and I'm finding a little bit of liberation in doing that. I'm glad that people are starting to come around. They've really been watching us, having a lot of fun watching us do the Andy Sedaris movies because you don't get stuff like that anymore. And that's what makes that stuff so fun. But you look here.
Guilty Zyphos, how do companies buy good reviews? They do it by having sock accounts where one person controls numerous other accounts, and they go in and they say the absolute same review over and over and over and over. Go back, watch World Class Bullshitters did some excellent exposés on that. So did Doomcock. So did Nerdrotic.
Yeah.
Back when Captain Marvel was coming out, and they literally changed the algorithm at Rotten Tomatoes that people, the people who go watch the movies, their scores do not count as much as they should. So it's literally that they have PR agencies sit on their computers and make good noises.
Yep.
And they're keyboard cowboys.
Another thing they do too, and there's nothing illegal about doing this, but a lot of the bigger channels, the bigger aggregates, not aggregates, but the bigger reviewers out there, they will invite them to the press events. I don't know if they're doing this as much now in 2020, but they give them press passes, they give them free loot, swag, shit like swag bags. If they write a good review, if they write a bad review, they take those things away. So people get together and they're like, you wrote a good review and you got more swag and you got invitations to red carpet events. They will tend to talk those things up. It's been proven time and time again. Collider Media is guilty as fuck of this. Okay. They play softball with these reviews so that they can get invited to the events. One of them literally lost their shit over not being invited to Star Wars, the Star Wars exhibit at Disney World. What do they call that again? I forgot what the fuck they call it. It's not important. I want to say Galaxy's Edge. I was going to say World's End, but no, that's a really good movie that Edgar Rice directed. I didn't want to confuse those two. I didn't want to even put them in the same sentence. But yeah, Galaxy's Edge. One of them didn't get invited to Galaxy's Edge, and he lost his shit online, like he was doing a podcast, and he was mad. He's like, he said live on the internet. It's out there. You can search it. He said, we play softball with these people, and I didn't get invited to the event. He wanted to go to the grand opening, and when he didn't get invited to the grand opening, he was pissed. So that's proof that they do this. They go out there, and they tell all the geeks, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Go check it out. And then as a result, they get swag and they get invited to special events. And yeah, there's no way that they can call it's not bribery because they can't prove that that's what they're doing. There's no way to prove it. See, money, you can trace it, but free swag, they just say, oh, well, we gave them some free swag. I don't know what you're talking about. Just deny it.
Hollywood has been doing that Siskel and Ebert used to talk about it back in the 80s when movies would come to them, and buy full page ads in their, in their respective newspapers.
Dude, they used to do it with video games. If you guys are not familiar, I managed a GameStop for 7 years, and the representatives would come in and they would give us free swag every year that we went to Las Vegas, the convention, to talk up their video game. And some of them thought that free swag would get me to tell them, like, oh, yeah, this game is really great. It's the best thing ever. I did not do that with my customers. Free swag be damned. If there was a bad game, I'd say, maybe you might like this game over here a little bit better because I want repeat customers. I don't want to sell them some old bullshit.
Well, my mom worked at a doctor's office, and she used to come home with notepads, bundles of pens, because all the med reps, they changed the rules so they couldn't get that kind of stuff. So the med reps would take them all out to a meal. There is power in influence. So it is a nice shirt. I wish I had one.
I was all excited when I bought this shirt. I'm like, yes, we're finally going to get that Dune movie. Well, maybe next year. Hopefully this shirt won't have a hole in it by next year or get ripped up or lost.
So what is a mistake that would ruin a movie on its own?
I can tell you right now, the biggest mistake that a movie can ruin on its own is when you trade in one audience to try to attract a different audience. Time and time again, that has been proven to be fatal mistakes. When you abandon your old audience, hoping that you're going to attract a new audience by disregarding the legacy characters, bringing in new characters, and trying to appeal to a younger demographic, you immediately abandon all of the audiences. And we see that happen all the time in this day and age.
If you try to make a movie by checking boxes,
yeah,
and
when you try to make a movie with a spreadsheet saying, okay, we have to have this character and we have to represent this and represent that and represent that, and then you get so caught up in the representation that your movie forgets to have a cohesive story. We've seen that thousands of times here.
Writing by committee.
Yes.
Writing stories that have a plot that you need Columbo and an entire bevy of serial investigators to figure out what the fuck they were trying to do. and then Columbo turns and goes, one more question, because it literally leaves you wondering what the fuck they were thinking. And you leave the movie theater scratching your head going, what did I just watch?
The fuck did I just watch? Roger Ebert hated John Carpenter's movies. He would really trash his. You know what? John Carpenter's my favorite director. I'll tell you that right now. I have almost all of his movies in my collection, even his bad ones. Okay, some of his bad ones I love. I know a lot of people like to hate on Ghosts of Mars. I fucking love Ghosts of Mars. Ghosts of Mars is that perfect. What Flair and I were talking about this off air before we went on. We're in an age where we no longer have the mid-tier movies anymore. Like the ones with the slightly smaller budgets, like how it is with video games, right? You have your indie games that are made on the cheap, okay? And then you have your AAA titles, and that's it. You don't have any middle tier games. It's like everything has to be AAA or completely independent. You need to bring back the mid-tier movies. Ghosts of Mars is what I would call a mid-tier movie. It's not too cheap that it's low budget, okay? But it's definitely not like an A-list Hollywood red carpet event type movie. It's just fun. It's a fun drive-in movie. you know?
You would get actors that are just a little bit over the hill, but still have great rep, and you'd want to see them in those movies.
Eventually, we're going to get to the next topic.
Yeah.
Guilty Typos, the 2011 reboot of The Thing. I think the problem with that movie is, for one, overuse of CG takes away from the suspense of the whole thing. And it's also an example that this is another mistake I see a lot of movies making nowadays. When they want to bring back a franchise, they want to do a prequel, okay? All the prequel does is fill in gaps. It doesn't create a universe. The universe is already created. The characters are already created. All you got to do is fill in gaps. All 2011's The Thing does is fill in the gaps between the original and what happened before the original. So I find it to be kind of a lazy movie. I didn't really enjoy the 2011 reboot of The Thing. It didn't do anything for me. It wasn't really a reboot. It was more of a prequel, and I thought it was kind of lame. The original Thing, however, is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen. That movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. And I watched that when I was like probably about 13 years old, in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of summer. And I had nightmares about it for weeks. That movie fucked me up because I have claustrophobia and I have cabin fever. And when I get both of those, that movie preys on both of those primal fears and freaked the shit out of me. But anyways, let's get on to the next topic. AMC theaters are facing a dramatic cliffhanger. And the reason I want to get here is somebody mentioned something about James Bond, and I am definitely going to tie James Bond into this topic. But we've been talking about time and time again how the theaters are in financial trouble, and yet movie studios are sitting on product, not releasing them into the theaters because of the pandemic. So I am going to read a little bit of this because some of this factual data is important. This is by Adam Epstein. The world's movie theaters are, for real this time, facing an existential crisis. Every few years we hear about the looming death of theaters. Including me on this channel, I've kind of beat it to death myself. Due to a variety of factors, including risking ticket prices and the proliferation of alternate forms of entertainment like streaming. But this is different. The pandemic has taken an industry that was already fending off threats on all sides and nudged it towards oblivion. No company exemplifies this more than AMC Entertainment, the 100-year-old owner of the biggest theater chain in the world. AMC theaters with no new movies put in cinemas and would-be moviegoers reluctant to see the few that are screening. AMC is quite literally running out of cash. Happy Centennial, your present is bankruptcy. AMC admitted in a filing PDF with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which they have to provide because of laws, okay? Substantial doubt exists about the company's ability to continue as going concern for a reasonable period of time. If it doesn't find new resources of liquidity and fast, it will declare bankruptcy. AMC generated $1 billion in revenue as recently as the first quarter of this year. If AMC goes under, we all lose. That would mean some or all of its more than 1,000 theaters across 15 countries could just disappear, leaving fewer spots for movies to be seen, fewer options for consumers, and less average for the theater chains that do survive to negotiate with Hollywood studios over the terms of distribution. It'd be a crushing blow to the theater industry and anyone who has ever enjoyed a trip to the movies. It is possible AMC survives these next few months. A vaccine is found and widely distributed in 2021. Studios start releasing lots of big movies again, and the theater industry lives to fight another day, though that won't solve the ongoing problem of streaming. But the prospect of theater-less world has ever been more real than it is right now. Videos like the one below could seem like an ancient relic to future generations, no less incomprehensible to them the dinosaur feels to us. This is that let's go out to the snack bar lobby thing. It's a pretty short article, so I'm not going to read the rest of these little things, but the point that I wanted to get at with this is these companies are sitting on these movies, and they're not releasing them to the movie theaters currently because a lot of these movie theaters are either closed or they have limited amounts of people that they can have in the theater once due to social distancing. But they're holding these movies thinking that there's going to be theaters to put them in when all of this is over. In meantime, AMC is sitting here like, hey, I got to have product. What am I supposed to show here? How am I supposed to get people in the theater when I have nothing to show? You're not giving me anything to work with. And one example of that is, in fact, I was going to actually focus my story on this before they quickly changed stories, is the James Bond movie, No Time to Die, okay? And as you can see, it was retracted right after. This is right here, updated. No Time to Die reportedly may skip theaters to release on streaming. Now, this was put out, and not even an hour later, because I was like, hey, Flair, let's talk about this on Monday. And not even an hour later, I'm like, never mind. Never mind, they retracted it. They're going to hold this, okay? This is right here, update. In a statement to Bloomberg, MGM declined comment on talks. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. But stated No Time to Die is not for sale. A representative said the film's release has been postponed until April 2021 in order to preserve the theatrical experience for moviegoers. Screen Rant's original article follows. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We as fans of movies, Adam, you, Alex, Nick, Pete, we have kicked this around on our own time. That we're looking at these movies that we with great hype. They were touted. Oh, we're going to come back in November. Oh, we're going to come back. And then they push it to next year, and it's like, okay, wait, I don't give a damn. My give a damn is busted, and it's because of shit like this. I don't, I really had no emotional attachment to Black Widow. Do I want to see Scarlett Johansson reprise the role one last time? Yes. What do I want? Am I going to pay for it at a movie theater? I don't know. But I'm not now. I'm not going to support, a dated movie that's been held. I mean, it's like I really wanted the New Mutants to do really well. But after watching actors that have aged so immensely in the 5-6 years that they've been holding on to New Mutants, it's like it's a time machine. It's going back in time, and that's not something I really want to do. It's as much as I love movies, and as much as I love some of these actors in their various roles, I think the studios are shooting themselves, if not in the foot, straight
That's
in
just it right there. That's where I want to chime in. In my opinion, okay, they're holding these movies because they want maximum viewership. They want maximum tickets sold. Okay, so that's why they're not releasing it now.
It's all about
what they need to be doing, though, is they need to be paying these fucking theaters to stay open so that they have a place to release them to. Where do they think they're going to release these things if all the theaters are fucking closed? It's going to be even worse than it is right now.
Oh yeah, well, I have said it multiple times. I lived through the Napster revolution, and what it did to digital music, and the music industry is what's happening to the movie industry. Only the movie industry doesn't have the clout that the music industry had in dominating its space, so they cannot nix Napster. The music industry basically nixed Napster, and the movie studios can't do that to the digital industry that we have today, because there's too much competition. There's too many. I mean, you look at what Amazon is doing, and it's undercutting these studios in major ways. Both Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, as they transition into new content, it is literally undercutting these. It's taking the old 100+ year industry of the studio system, and basically putting an auger in its ear and saying goodbye. It really is.
And, you know, a lot of studios, like they took Trolls 2. I think Warner Brothers was it Warner Brothers that released Trolls 2 World Tour. They released that in the theaters, and theater chains were pissed. And I can't say I blame them for that. Okay,
No,
on one hand, this is a really messy battle here, because it's like you're the company, and the only way you make money is to sell product. But right now, you can't sell product because the world says you have no place to sell your product. Your product is not safe to consume in the space that you need in order to sell it. So you sit on your product. In the meantime, you're not making any money. And the place that holds your product, they're not making any money either. So it's almost like it's like a Mexican standoff here. It's like, who's going to go out of business first? The studio for sitting on the product, or the theaters for not having the product in their theaters?
In Bill,
Who's going to make the first move here, you know?
good night, Guilty Zyphos.
Thanks for stopping by, Guilty Zyphos. We'll be wrapping up here pretty soon, but thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate all your chat. It's a lot of fun.
Independent movie theaters can carry movies of their choosing. When I lived in California, in Roseville, California, we had a TJ Maxx Go Out, and they turned that into a 16 theater movie complex, and it was independent. They carried both sides of the movie wars, and they had, well, I loved them because they had Pepsi. I could watch a good movie and eat my popcorn and drink a Pepsi, and I was happy.
Damn it! No, this Coke.
Yes, I make my decisions on a soda brand. I'm sorry, you all can yell at me later.
Well, you know what, Flair? That's the other reason why you and I get along, is we're both Pepsi drinkers. Damn it! So it's like, once you turn to Pepsi, you can't go back to Coke.
It was really sad when they got bought out, and they lost their Pepsi. B, they upped their prices, because they used to have matinees for $3 or $4. And so the first show every day, before whatever it was, big blockbuster, independent movie, didn't matter. It was $3 or $4, and they packed them in. I mean, for it was more rural part of Northern California. It was, people would flock to it, and they would, it was like the old days of you knew a lot of the people that came to watch movies. You became friends with them. You would sit and have conversations with them, waiting for the movies. It was an amazing experience, and that's what I miss.
Yeah,
because
I was actually getting to the point where I was going to the movies so often that I was actually becoming friends with the people that worked there. I was meeting people that were screening the same movies that I was. Some of them are subscribed to my channel, and they stop by and they say hi to me once in a while. I miss all that. I do. But I at the same time, there's not a lot out there right now that's going to get me to go back out into the theaters. And we've had all of 2020 go by us now, with maybe all of one. There's been one tentpole movie that's come out all year, and that was
Tenet.
Okay, because the last movie I saw in the theater was The Hunt. That wasn't a tentpole movie, and sure as shit wasn't Bloodshot. Okay, The Invisible Man was a lot of fun, which I know you and I don't necessarily agree on our reviews of that one, and that's neither here nor there. But
I've seen a lot of the reviews. I've seen a lot of it, but I haven't actually watched the entire movie. I've only heard good things about it, that it's a very psychological thriller, and that's right up my alley.
That's what was fun about it. It's like one of those '90s thrillers, you know, when those were like a thing.
And that's totally one of those. So yeah. I'd probably roll with you that I would like it. I just have to sit down and see.
You probably read the H.G. Wells original too. That's actually one book I have read. I've read The Invisible Man, and I'm telling you folks that all you guys that were whining about there's no man in The Invisible Man. The Invisible Man's a bad guy. The Invisible Man in the book was also a bad guy. He was a guy that had good intentions that went bad as a result of his experiments. Okay, he was the bad guy. So the new Invisible Man ain't changed nothing except maybe the perspective. They told it from the victim's point of view, which I think makes it more scarier. But I'm not going to turn this into an Invisible Man review. But what I am concerned about though is who's going to make the first move here? Okay, we don't have a cure for the pandemic yet. Okay. If you go into a theater, there are still for the theaters that are open, because a lot of them have shut back down again. I'm in Illinois where they shut everything back down again. Right now, you can't go out to the bars, and all the dining rooms and everything have been shut down again because of the spike. They had the cases spike back up again.
Where I live in Idaho, we have a Regal that's the only movie theater we have, and they shut back down. The AMC over in Washington, in Spokane, is open, but Governor Inslee of Washington decided to shut everything back down again, and AMC said we don't know what to do.
Yeah,
because they're literally the local paper here did a huge article on, it was a multi-page article on Regal shutting back down and how it's not, they understand why they're doing it, but they also understand that at a certain point it's a death knell for an industry.
Yeah, and like Bill said, in Massachusetts, and theaters are shut down, and I don't really see them opening back up again. Unfortunately, that's my thing. This is the conundrum here. What something's got to give. Something's got to give. If these studios are sitting on this product because they're not going to make any money, and the theaters aren't going to be open by the time they do release these products. And we were also joking. We were joking about this on Friday, or maybe it was last week. We were joking about some of the jokes that are going to be in these Marvel movies when they come out. I think it was Friday we were joking about this. By the time these movies go out, the jokes in the Marvel movies are going to be irrelevant, because it's always a pop culture joke or something that's current, to appeal to the current generation. By the time this stuff comes out, the jokes that are in these movies won't be relevant anymore. They'll already be irrelevant, because how many times have we pushed back Dune? How many times have we pushed back No Time to Die was supposed to come out April of this last year, and now we don't even know when it's coming out at this point. So
and there's movie goer apathy. It is a real thing.
Yes, because I mentioned this many times before. The movies that I used to go to on a regular basis, the big tentpole movies, the ones that they thought were going to make all of the monies. Okay, perfect example: Terminator: Dark Fate. 12 people on launch day. 12 people in the theater on the main screen. 12 on launch day. The last time I saw a lot of people, most time the movies that I see, it's like maybe between 10 and 20 people on a launch. The last time I saw a lot of people in the theater on launch recently was Bad Boys 3. And that movie was a lot of fun. That was a movie that was a lot of fun to see in a crowd full of people laughing, cheering, carrying on, having a good time. So I am 100% in support of theaters. I don't want to see them close, but I'm also realistic, because right now you can't have these movie theaters open. And if you're sitting in them, you don't want to have to be forced to sit 6 feet apart from somebody else, or try to shove popcorn under your fucking face mask. These things are not working. All right.
And
They're
Richard, they did open up drive-ins up here over the summer, but because we're having an early winter,
right?
It broke records the snowfall that we just got broke records. And I mean, you can't really sit in the bed of a truck when
No.
you've got 7 inches of snow in the bed of your truck. You're not.
I'm glad he brought that up, because I live in Florida most of the time. Okay, but when I was I'm 100% in support of drive-ins opening back up too. But I was arrogantly forgetting that the people up north that have to deal with snow in winter can't do the drive-ins in the summertime, or I mean in the wintertime. So what are the theaters supposed to do? Just not put anything out in the wintertime? That ain't going to work either.
We also had drive-through state fairs. Both Washington had their Eastern Washington State Fair. Idaho had its Northern Idaho State Fair, and they were drive-throughs. You literally paid your price to go to the state fair, which is exorbitant, and you go through. They even had parts that where you could play games out of your car. You could buy the Midway, the what are those the booths, the food booths, where they fry everything, including Twinkies. They had that, and you could drive through, and it's just not the same. And
No.
I see, we're being forced to separate ourselves, and I think that's the worst thing we could ever do. We need to come back together, because this only exacerbates what we were talking about in the first segment.
For a long time, Toys R Us, the toy companies paid to keep Toys R Us open because they had a very limited amount of shelf space, like places to sell their product. If and you've experienced this, I know you've experienced, because I sure as hell have. In 2020, every store you go into, you're dealing with shortages of everything. This is out, that's out, this week that's out, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. For a while we had no toilet paper, and then we did, and then we didn't. The stores can't keep up with the demand. But the thing is if you don't have the product on the shelf space, you can't fucking sell it. So these theaters can't sit on this product and expect these theaters to deal with this shit and wait for these studios to release these things when everything's back to normal. And the other thing that they're forgetting, and I keep bringing this up over and over again, but it's been statistically proven that when these pandemics do finally come to a close, that people are skittish going back out again. So if you thought that the attendance was bad before the pandemic, when there was only 10 to 12 people going to a movie on opening night, what do you think it's going to be like when they do open back up again? People aren't going to be ready to rush back out into the public again. I'm sorry, they're not. I know a lot of us are, because we're sick of being cooped up. But you're going to be scared that you're going to start shit back up again. People are going to have PTSD from this shit.
There was a buddy of mine knows a farmer over in Eastern Washington. The gentleman raises potatoes. I use this example to kind of illustrate the absurdity of what's been going on, and I think it fits across most industries right now. Is that okay? The potato farmers, this potato farmer alone had to throw away over $1 million worth of potatoes, because the governor of Washington deemed potatoes not essential, and those workers not essential. But the slaughterhouses were deemed essential, and the price for meat went up 200-fold.
Bro, you can live on potatoes. Didn't anybody ever see the fucking Martian? That dude stayed alive on Mars for like a whole year eating potatoes.
But that's kind of where I think our values got skewed by COVID. Is that the potato, the meat of the subject. You know, you can survive on potatoes. You can't always buy. Well, he was considered essential, but the processor was not deemed essential. So in the next probably 6 to 8 months, you're going to have everything potato related, from chips to uh, vodka to high end stuff. All of these potato based products, French fries, their prices are going to skyrocket because they don't have enough in storage, because they did not, at least here in the inland Northwest. The we raise wheat, we raise corn, we raise cattle. There's a lot of farming still up here before Californians kill that too. Fucking retards. I digress. Um, but there's a whole lot of industry up here that is farm based, and it is onions. They closed the onion processors down, and well, there's local bottlers for soda everywhere. We had
Yeah, Coca-Cola is going to be fine. The pandemic ain't going to affect them one fucking bit.
go into a store and try to find a can of
You know what? That's one thing I've not had any trouble finding all year. Is there's still plenty of fucking soda everywhere. That shit has not run out at all.
certain
I
sodas.
can't live on it. I can't eat it, but I can find it. Yeah. Here we go. Bill Evans says, "How do the movie theaters make money versus streaming service?" Well, yeah, the theaters sell concessions. They live off those concessions. The streaming service doesn't have concessions.
Of how many butts are in seats.
Yeah.
They lay out an amount of money to a studio to have their movie in their theater. Then they get a cut of that ticket price, and then whatever you bought. That's why concession prices, excuse me, are what they are, because that is how they were keeping their theaters open in a lot of ways, was by selling you a $10 55-gallon drum of Coke. Where the streaming services make their money is they get the monthly subscription price, so they have a dedicated amount of money. That's why Netflix can do original series. That's why Amazon can do an original series. They have that dedicated money stream coming in, to where they don't have to.
You're getting your money whether you're watching the shit or not.
Yeah, they make money whether you're watching it or it sits on.
The only time you really get your value off of Netflix is if you never fucking turn it off. You have that thing on 24 hours a day, which nobody does. Nobody does. Everybody turns it off. They go to bed. They turn it off. They go to work. Or they turn on a different streaming service and watch something they want to watch. I've noticed just not too long ago, I'm not trying to get off the topic or anything, but just watching Netflix, you can run out of shit to watch in a hurry on that platform.
Oh, yeah, you can.
I don't think there's near enough content on it.
Well, because, again, the streaming.
But I also like to watch trash, so that's kind of important. I like watching old trashy movies, and I can browse, Amazon Prime for hours and hours and never run out of shit to watch.
Absolutely. Hulu's the same.
Yeah, Hulu's kind of the same. I've kind of switched to Hulu lately just because like I said, I do reviews of the old Twilight Zone. I don't have them on Blu-ray yet, so I have to go and watch them somewhere. I was watching them on Netflix. After I canceled, I discovered they were also on Hulu. I can watch them there. I don't want to sign up for CBS All Access. I was fortunate enough to sign up for CBS All Access temporarily so that I could review the 2019-2020 Twilight Zone seasons without having to pay for them. But I know once season 3 comes out, I'll probably have to. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't want to say anything. I don't know nothing.
Yeah, I'm
Arr,
sure you should.
right? Arr. That's what I say. So, but yeah, this is a messy thing. I don't know if there's any answer. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to all of this. But when I read these articles, though, I get really frustrated because I'm like, these movies are not going to be released. The theaters cannot have the capacity that they need to make the ends meet in order to justify showing it. I mean, how many times have we read stories where Disney demands that if you show Star Wars in your theater, you have to have it on 3 screens, like a minimum of 3 screens, and all this astronomical bullshit that some theaters can't even live up to. They can't contend with this now. I mean, look at Disney. Disney is losing its ass because everything that they sell requires you to be in a public setting. Their theme parks and their movies. And their streaming service, like you mentioned earlier, they kind of maybe should have sold that shit a little higher because $6 a month on a subscription ain't going to cut it. There's not that many people signed up for it. You know what I mean?
Leo, I have the Hulu no ads Disney Plus bundle. My mom has Amazon Prime and Netflix, so we're paying. Well, we also have Dish because of where we're located, and so we're paying over $200 a
I have
month.
Amazon Prime because I order a lot of shit, like from my
Well, yeah,
videos and toys and gadgets and shit. Right now, I pretty much do about 95% of my shopping because when I do finally get out and go out into the wild, the stores ain't got nothing in stock anyway. So I have to buy my clothes and stuff like that there because everybody's always out of everything. But I do use their Prime Video. I find a lot of old good stuff on there. And then also through Prime Video, you can have add-ons. And that's where I have my Shudder subscription, my Full Moon subscription, my Shout TV subscription. I have all of those added on to my Amazon. And then I also have Hulu. So those are my streaming services.
See, and I think this is why streaming is going to kill the theaters, is because it's so damn convenient. It's movies on demand. It POV. Pay-per-view. It really started the ball rolling to where I can turn on my Dish subscription and watch brand new movies about a month after they come out on the screen.
Remember about a decade ago, you had to wait a long time to see that shit hit video or hit on demand.
I remember the arguments they used to have. It used to be a year.
It used to be about a year. Yeah, like that was a real thing. Now it's like a month after it fucking drops. It's already in the, if it really sucks, it's the next day.
Yeah. I mean, some of the bigger ones I've seen have come to pay-per-view 2 weeks after they've released it in theaters.
Let's see. My only gripe with Amazon is they lock a lot of good movies behind a paywall. Excalibur Final Action. Yeah, I mean, I understand why they do that, but the thing with Amazon is they change it every month. So you're not, unlike Netflix, they don't change their content enough. Okay, that's my problem with them is you log in and it's the same shit. Like I think they still got, fucking Force Awakens on there probably. I mean, I don't want to watch that bullshit. That's also why I quit watching channels like HBO and Stars and all those, is because they would never, ever change out their movie content. Like they would have the same stuff on there for an entire year over and over and over again. It's like, I don't want to pay $10 a month to watch the same 4 movies. I mean,
Leo, good binging there.
I've been binge watching The Expanse Prime and currently on season 3. And yeah, I think that's probably where I'm going to draw this to a close because we've been going here for about a little over 2 hours. And
I'm hungry.
I know you're tired. I'm starting to, my voice is starting to get a little scratchy here because I've been yapping for the whole time. But The Expanse is something that we're going to start reviewing on this channel starting next month. And the reason we're going to do that is because season 5 is going to be coming out on Amazon Prime real soon. And we want to make sure we release or we review all the previous stuff before we start reviewing the new stuff. So The Expanse is going to be covered. And I'm excited because I've never reviewed a new TV show on this channel ever before. This is something totally new to me. Nick Catan from the World Class Bullshitter is all excited. I know Flair is all excited. So I'll probably have a revolving cast of people doing the reviews. I haven't decided if I'm going to do them as a live stream or if I'm going to do them as a single release. I might mix it up. I don't know. I'm still kind of tossing that around, but I think we're going to bring this to a close. I don't really know what to say about the movie industry other than it's a real pickle. I don't want to watch its demise, but unless something changes really fucking soon, man, like I mean within the next couple of months, I don't see how it's going to survive. I just don't. I don't see how theaters can stay open when they have no product. I mean, I know a lot of people this year that have gone out and seen old movies in the theaters, and God bless you if you're supporting your theater. I mean, I appreciate what you're doing, but I don't think that those $5 and $10 tickets are going to do it. So
I believe we're planning on going episode by episode.
The new ones we're going to go episode by episode. The old ones we're going to have to go by season because we're not going to have enough time to go episode by episode of 4 whole seasons. So that will kill us because there's just not enough time to commit. The new ones will definitely go episode by episode, but the old ones will go by season just so we can catch you up, if that makes any sense.
Well, Leo, thank you for taking a break from your binge watching to come watch us. We really appreciate it.
And I'm glad you got into it because, yeah, it took me a while to get into it too. And you can blame Nick Tam. He got me watch it. Now I got you watching it. So it's good. We'll have something new to talk about together. And let's try to end it on an upper note because I know this has been a really depressing and frustrating stream.
Richard, I wish we could get Doomcock, but I think we're so small that, you know what?
Yeah, we're small potatoes, you know.
I don't think he'd want to waste his time on us.
But yeah, we will be talking about some, you know, there's still some good entertainment out there. Like I said, The Expanse, the Orville. I know the Orville is only going to have one more season coming left, but The Expanse is still going. People that like intelligent science fiction will watch that. It's just you got to make sure you support the shit out of it. You know, movies like Alita Battle Angel, if they're really good, tell all your friends about them so that they go out and watch it too, so that more of that stuff gets made. You have to, it's your job as the consumer to tell the creators what you want. Sometimes they listen to you, and then sometimes they have Cuties on Netflix. So that's just kind of the way that ball rolls. But I want to thank everybody that showed up in the chat. Leah Red, Richard Reeder, Frank Blaskowitz, Null White, Guilty Syphos. I'm terrible at butchering names. You Can't Unwatch It.
And guys, go subscribe to You Can't Unwatch It. He does excellent work. Please.
Jerry Jason. We got. Did I miss anybody here? Oh, yeah. Oh, Bill Leavitt. Richard Greeter. I mentioned you already. Bill Leavitt. I just want to make sure I mentioned Manliness and Motivation. And I want to thank all you guys. We had a pretty good chat tonight going. When you guys talk to us, we always go a little bit longer. You know, these shows are only supposed to be an hour long. We kind of blew it, but hey, we're glad that you had fun watching us. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's growing. It's getting better. You know, we're going to get through this. A lot of this is just, I can blame a lot of it on the election year. That just kind of happens. It takes away from everything else. But thank you so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you come back tomorrow night on Loitering in Wonderland on YouTube. Just type in Loitering in Wonderland or go to loiteringinwonderland.com. We'll be talking about
the show as well.
We'll be talking about the Twilight Zone tomorrow. We'll be talking about the anthology review on Wednesday, and then come back to this channel on Friday night where Flair and I and Nick Tam and Pete, Daddy Dalla, and Lincoln 7 we'll all be there watching some old bad movie. We're actually watching Hellbound Hellraiser 2 as we close out the Halloween month, our horror extravaganza, and then we'll go back to all our crazy stuff coming soon. And then also, Flair's got a birthday episode coming up pretty soon too. He's got to pick up. We'll be doing a double feature to celebrate his birthday. So thank you so much for sticking around. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give me a follow. Give me a thumbs up on the way out. I appreciate it. Keeps us rolling. You guys have yourselves an excellent week. Thank you for joining me, Flair. I know this was you were pretty tired today when you came in, but we had us a good stream, brother. So.
This, you and the chat really jazzed me up, and and make me feel good. So I really appreciate the chat, and I really appreciate you. So,
raidersofthelostflicks.com on the internet. You guys have yourselves a fantastic week, and we'll see you Friday on the Bad Movie Watch and Review. Peace out. Groovinator signing out.
good night, guys.
Good night.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat entertaining. Please remember to depress that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you'll be the first to know when new content is published. Please visit raidersofthelostflicks.com for more hilarious entertainment and links to all of our social media platforms. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon. As little as $1 a month supports our worldwide digs for more lost